Hello, and here is your video over the Day 1 notes from Unit 4. This is about adding, subtracting, and multiplying polynomials. Key things to keep in mind: we can only add and subtract polynomials that have the same variable with the same exponent. So when we're adding them, we'll add the coefficients but keep the exponents the same. So for example, we've got 3x squared. The only thing we can combine this with is the 4x squared. So 3 plus 4 gives me the 7. And the x squared stays the same. We now have a negative 2x plus a 5x, so negative 2 plus 5 is a positive 3x, and 8 plus a negative 12 gives me a negative 4. So we're simply just adding the coefficients together and leaving our variables with their powers alone. Second example, we've got 4x squared. I don't have any x squareds in this second polynomial, so I can't combine it. That just stays as 4x squared. 5x plus 3x gives me 8x. And we've got 7 plus a negative 5. So that's really the same as 7 minus 5, which gives us a positive 2. And our final example of adding polynomials together, we've got 2x cubed. Again, nothing to combine with it, so we keep that, 2x cubed. We've got a 5x squared plus a 4x squared. So the 5 and the 4 we add together to get 9x squared. Negative 7x plus a negative 5x. The negative 7 and negative 5 are the same sign, so we add those together and get 12, but we keep the sign, so negative 12x. And finally, we can't forget that last little 5. So that's how we add those together. Likewise, when we subtract, we can only subtract terms if they have the same variable and the same exponent. And one of the ways that I found prevents errors is if we are subtracting and they're lined up like this, instead of using subtraction, we're going to distribute that negative to each term. So we're changing everything to the opposite sign and changing our subtraction to addition. So we're going to have 4x squared plus a negative x squared, which gives us a 3x squared. 3x plus a negative 6x gives us negative 3x. And 15 plus a negative 8 gives us a positive 7. So again, these could be lined up like this, or they could be side by side. We always want to take that negative and distribute it inside our binomial or polynomial. So this is going to become an addition because we're distributing that negative sign. So if this was positive 3x, it becomes negative. This was a negative, so we make it a positive. So x squared plus nothing is still x squared. Negative 4x plus a negative 3x gives us a negative 7x. And positive 8 plus positive 5 gives us positive 13. In our final example, again, we're going to take that subtraction and distribute it inside, so it changes the sign of everything inside your parentheses. The minus becomes a plus outside. Minus becomes a plus inside. Positive becomes a negative, and the negative becomes a positive. So now we have 4x squared plus a positive 4x squared gives us 5x squared. Negative 8x plus a negative 6x is a negative 14x. Negative 17 plus a positive 5 gives us a negative 12. Okay. So again, we're doing the same thing as addition, but first we're just distributing that negative to each term inside the polynomial. Now our final thing we're covering for today is multiplying polynomials. The key to remember here is that you have to multiply everything from the first polynomial by everything in the second. So you're distributing. There's 3 different ways to do these. We can do box, we can distribute, or we can stack. So we're just going to work our way across. I'm going to do one problem with each method, and you decide which method you like the best. So the first one, we're going to do the box method. We have 3 terms here and 2 terms here. So my box needs to have 3 rows and 2 columns. Okay. And we're going to just line up our terms, including their signs. So 2x squared plus 3x minus 5. And at the top of this one, we'll put our 2x and our positive 3. Sorry, I didn't leave much room there. And now we multiply everything on the left by what's at the top of the column. So 2x squared times 2x gives me 4x cubed. 2x squared times a 3 gives me 6x. 2x times 3x gives us 6x squared. So remember, when you're multiplying these, we add the exponents. 3 times 3x is 9x. 2x times a negative 5 is a negative 10x. And 3 times a negative 5 is negative 15. We can't leave our answer like that. We have to now add all our like terms together to get our final expression. So we start with the highest exponent, 4x cubed. Oops. Where did I leave off? When we multiply 3 times 2x squared, that should have been 6x squared. How many of you caught that? Okay, so adding our exponent, our like terms together, 6x squared plus 6x squared gives me 12x squared. We also have a negative 10x plus 9x gives me just negative x, and a negative 15 to finish that off. So we've used every term, which is what we want. Okay, let's try another one. And this time let's see, this method was the box method. So this time we're going to use the distribute method. This is also known as FOIL, but you can only use that term FOIL when it's a 2 by 2. This time we have 3 terms in our polynomial, so FOIL doesn't quite work the same way. So again, I'm going to have to multiply everything in the first polynomial, so 2x squared times both of those terms. So we'll start with that 2x squared plus times, 2x squared multiplied by 5x gives me 10x cubed. 2x times a negative 6 is a negative 12x squared. Now we're going to multiply, and let's do this in a different color so we see it. The negative 3x times the 5x, so that's a negative 15x squared. Negative 3x times a negative 6 gives me a positive 18x. And do I have another color? I think I do. Oh, no, that's still black. Okay. So now we have 4 multiplied by the 5x gives us 20x. And 4 multiplied by negative 6 is a negative 24. Again, we want to combine our like terms. So we've got 10x cubed minus 27x squared. 18x plus 20x is 38x minus 24. So this is distributing. Again, if you like doing it that way, that's fine. You just have to make sure every term in the first polynomial is multiplied by every term in the second. And our final method is called stacking, which probably you remembered. This is how you learn to multiply numbers. If we had, let's say, 57 multiplied by 12, we would say 2 times the 7 gives us 14. Write the 4 down. Carry the 1. 2 times 5 is 10 plus 1 is 11. Then we would move over 1 and multiply 1 times 7, gives us 7. 1 times 5 is 5. And then you would add these together to get 684. We're going to be doing that same thing when we do stacking. So we have 5x squared plus 6, and we're going to multiply by 3x minus 2. So we're going to multiply by the negative 2 first. So negative 2 times 6 is a negative 12. We don't have an x term here. So I'm going to go ahead and just put a 0x here. And then negative 2 times 5x squared gives us a negative 10x squared. I just wanted that 0x in there as a placeholder, so when I try and add things together, it'll work. We have a 3x times 6, so that's 18x, and again we line it up under the correct term. That's a positive. 3x times 15x squared times 5x squared gives us 15x cubed. So we've got to put that over here. So we have 0x squared here. Now we're going to add these guys together. Negative 12, 0x plus 18x gives us a positive 18x. Negative 10x plus a 0x squared is negative 10x squared. And finally we have 15x cubed. Sorry about that, we ran out of room in our box. The key here is you can only add things that have the same variable with the same exponent. I hope this helps you.